Z Sports here live on a Friday morning as we react to the first round of the NFL draft. Austin Stanley and Zach Bingham here live. We're live all over the place this morning, live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter, Twitch, and also live on Instagram, reacting to the first round of the NFL draft, where the Titans drafted Isaiah Wilson, offensive tackle out of Georgia at 29 overall. We were thinking, are the Titans going to try to trade back? Did they try to trade back and just not able to get it accomplished? That's what we'll talk about here, as we did hear from Isaiah Wilson last night. Also heard from Mike Vrabel and Jon Robinson, Titans head coach and GM, after the pick was made. So, Zach, we've got a lot to react to. We've also got an investigation we have to do about what really went on at the Mike Vrabel basement last night. We will throw that picture up there as well. As Rob brings up, Isaiah Wilson's mama moved the maybe girlfriend out of the way after he was drafted as well. So there's so many things going on that we have to talk about today. That's not even football. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling. We'll also touch on what the Packers did with our best and worst picks of the draft last night. Zach, let's do it.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, on Instagram Live, in which we're live, vegetarian home run hitter says horrible pick. And then we got people coming in, like G-Blog says, I'm so confused on why people think this is a bad pick. Well, Mike Vrabel and Jon Robinson did clear some things up last night. So we will disclose what they said in their press conference, and got a chance to listen to Isaiah Wilson speak. Don't judge a book by its cover, as they say, right? Don't sit there and jump to conclusions before you talk to a man. Well, talking to Isaiah Wilson, I do think the Titans fans are going to like this pick. We'll talk a little bit more about that, plus touch a little bit on what we've got in store tonight, the second and third rounds, as we react live to the entire draft tonight. So big store and show before we big show in store before we get going. Bottom right corner of your screen, if you're watching on Facebook and Periscope, bottom right corner, retweet this broadcast for us. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. How that happens is you tap those three little dots, you retweet the broadcast. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. Also, Facebook, what's going on, Facebookers? More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as you guys do, please share the broadcast, share the show. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. That is share now to public for Facebookers. Please share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. And how we do that is you guys distribute the show. So ready and raring to go on a Friday. This is a good Friday. Look, I'm drinking a little bit of coffee. Got my Tux mug right here.
There you go.
A tradition like none other. I'm jacked up. I hope you're ready, Austin. I hope you're ready to roll.
Sure. Let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by TennesseeTickets.com. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, and you like our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make everything happen for our show, for our business, and you guys. TennesseeTickets.com, guys, May 9th. That's when the schedule comes out for the NFL season. That's when you can go get your Titan single game tickets at TennesseeTickets.com, where you're going to save a lot of money by making that decision. Renters Warehouse, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for, because there are alternatives to selling your home in the Nashville area after you move, and Renters Warehouse, in my opinion, the best of those alternatives. RentersWarehouse.com. Mandu, the pulse of fitness. 1 15-minute workout of Mandu's full-body electronic muscle stimulation simulates 5+ hours in the weight room. I miss Mandu. We all miss Mandu. When Mandu's open back up, we need to jumpstart our fitness back to normal. Mandu.com. Your first workout is free. The Tucker Agency, Nashville's independent insurance agency, giving you relief by saving you an average of 20% on your personal insurance. TuckerTN.com is where to go to save some money. Calvin and Subtle Hardwood and Finishings, taking CDC precautions to serve Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs. To book an appointment, 615-448-6414, or find them at calvinandsubtle.com. Zach, Isaiah Wilson, we react to it live on all these platforms that we're on right now. We reacted to it live last night with Buck Rising. Buck got the pick correct. So yesterday morning we talked, would A to Z Sports continue the streak to 5 years of predicting a Jon Robinson draft pick? We as a company have, with Buck nailing the Isaiah Wilson pick. Zach, after sleeping on it a little bit, how you feel?
Yeah, just a little bit. But money never sleeps. So we're back ready to go. Look, I after our show last night between you, me, and Buck, jumped on the conference call with Isaiah Wilson. They asked him a bunch of questions. This guy's charismatic. And the best thing that I heard, I think it kind of made sense to me a little bit more, because I'll talk about what Jon Robinson and Vrabel said here in a second. But Isaiah Wilson, he was asked, what's the best part of your game? What do you pride yourself on? And the one thing he said probably about 5 to 10 times was, I'm physical. I love beating people up. I just love beating people up. I love beating people up. I like breaking other men's will. I'm physical. And those are catchwords for Mike Vrabel and Jon Robinson. As we figured out over the years, those are the things that they love. You know why? Because that screams football guy. And Mike Vrabel, that's the one thing that he's looking for. He couldn't find it in Kevin Dodd years ago. Jon Robinson thought he had a football guy. No. He did not have a football guy. Isaiah Wilson seems like a football guy. And it helped their team because that's the identity of the Titans. Their run-first team. Derrick Henry is the premier bell cow back. That's why they franchise tagged him. They said they're working on a longer deal. And then we shifted, after we got done with Isaiah Wilson, shifted on over to the Zoom call with Jon Robinson and Mike Vrabel. And honestly, Jon Robinson was very open, and he didn't pull any punches. We knew before the draft they were trying to trade out of it. He said during that Zoom call, after he picked Isaiah Wilson, he wasn't downplaying the pick. He loved the guy.
Sure.
But he said they were talking to other teams, but at the 11th hour, right before the pick, all of those talks fizzled out. So he couldn't find a trade. So he took the best guy that he felt was going to help the Tennessee Titans, and that was Isaiah Wilson. I like when people explain to me why things happen. And Jon Robinson and Mike Vrabel last night were very candid, and they openly explained, we took this to help our offense. We took this to solidify our offensive line because that's where it starts. And they took it because a trade partner fizzled out, so they elected to take Wilson.
Well, and Zach, you mentioned, you asked, does drafting Wilson help just bolster your identity? You asked, I guess that was to Vrabel last night. What was his answer to your question?
Well, he said it starts with the offensive and defensive line.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I mean, it was a pick. I mean, not singularly, because we don't know what the competition between him and Dennis Kelly are going to be on the right tackle. But look, I understand overall why people and why Titans fans are a little upset, because backup right tackle, and we don't know what's going to happen week 1, but backup right tackle in the first round, 29th overall, that's not sexy. That's not lingerie. So that's why the fans don't necessarily love it. But I do think it helps your football team because of the emergence of, honestly, 3 guys. I could even sprinkle in a 4th, but the emergence of Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown, and my sprinkle is Jonnu Smith. He's got to follow up next year with what he did this past year. But that helps Ryan Tannehill. Austin, we've been through these years. Titans fans, I'm looking at you guys. You guys have watched all these games. You know what is awful and really hard to watch? When Mariota was on his back against the Ravens when they got busted 21-0. When he couldn't score a point against Denver. When he was getting sacked in Jacksonville on Thursday night, like he was like on the red light district. That's how much he was on his back. It was unbelievable. They don't want to see that. So they had to secure this offensive line, and I do think Isaiah Wilson will blend very, very well and mesh with this offensive line. That's a close group.
Yeah, and there's a lot of comments flying in. I'm trying to monitor them as well as I can as Zach is talking there, because Jeff Burrows says the Titans need a right tackle who can move, and he's not sure that Isaiah Wilson is that guy. He's athletic, but he's very raw. And a lot of people, he's powerful. Whenever you look at Isaiah Wilson draft profiles, the best trait is power, right? Is that the guy moves people. And he talks about that. He thoroughly enjoys moving people. Zach, you've already mentioned that he likes beating people up, and that was his comment. He followed that up by saying essentially he likes breaking another man's will, which is just like, it's so football. And it's so like, as soon as I heard that in that full quote, I was like, okay, that's why Mike Vrabel drafted this guy. And Mike Vrabel talked about, I believe it was one of the first questions asked of Vrabel, that when Isaiah Wilson walked in the room at the combine, he had to turn sideways to get through the door in the meeting room. And then he has over 10-inch hands, which are massive hands. And Mike Vrabel says he was looking him in the chest and had to look up to his eyes. 6'7", 350 pounds. Zach, you found the video of Isaiah Wilson playing a goal line Wildcat quarterback in high school. So he's athletic. He's just raw and he's strong, but can he place that strength and power in the right ways? A lot of things that I read about Wilson, that if he gets his hands on you, it's over. Like, that play is over. If you're a defensive player and Isaiah Wilson gets those big paws, and he calls himself Panda, if he gets those big paws on you, that play is done. You are going to the ground very quickly. But the thing is, if is good, but it's just if at this point, if he can get his hand, because he's very erratic with his punches, with his hand technique. So he's got to learn that. So this is absolutely a long-term draft pick. I'm not counting on any Isaiah Wilson starting if Dennis Kelly is 16 games healthy this year. I think Dennis Kelly is probably more likely to be the 16-game starter at right tackle this year than Isaiah Wilson outside of an injury. But I will say this. So people say, why draft that guy in the first round? Because I think, Zach, having fifth-year control on Isaiah Wilson for a fifth-year option is really important for this guy, because you're going to waste and not really be able to benefit as much in year one. So having that fifth year on the back end helps out a lot.
Well, and you hope that you get the opportunity to maybe pick up his fifth-year option, unlike they didn't do that with Jack Conklin. Now he's with the Cleveland Browns after a good season, right? Conklin was sandwiched. All-pro his rookie year, injuries in between. Last year came on and kind of found who he was, then got the big contract elsewhere because they didn't pick up the fifth-year option. I do think you bring up a good point. We talked about this last night before they picked. Look, DeAndre Swift was still on the board, and they weren't even the first. Dobbins wasn't even the first guys taken. Kansas City took the first running back in the first round. But I think this sends a message to Derrick Henry. I think this sends a message that we're with you here for the long haul, big fella. This is what we're hitching our wagon to. And I think that's a breath of fresh air. Look, I love Derrick Henry. He's been my guy since day one. He's proven that he's the best running back in the NFL right now. He had a superb season, the singular reason why they made it to the AFC Championship game. This pick at 29, offensive line, tells me a lot about what they think about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry probably doing push-ups or doing some squats like he always does last night.
Curls, just super fast curls.
Probably a little brighter gleam in his eye as he was going down. God knows how much he squats.
So I'll say this, because there was another running back who was making a lot of money for the Tennessee Titans when the Titans drafted an offensive lineman in the first round, Chris Johnson. In 2013, the Titans had the 10th overall pick. The Titans drafted Chance Warmack, and Chris Johnson tweeted, "Thank God." Like, that was it. That was the tweet. Thank God. And so when I hear Isaiah Simmons and when I look at Isaiah Wilson,
You're blending the first two-round picks over the last 2 years. You can't do that.
I know. Well,
Jeffrey Simmons, Isaiah Wilson.
Because there is an Isaiah Simmons too, so that's why my melted.
He ain't around
very well. My bad. That's the third time I've done that. I'm keeping count.
And that's why I had to step in.
Isaiah Wilson, is he more Jack Conklin or is he more Chance Warmack? Well, because I think that's something.
That. Who knows?
Well, no, I know that's a rhetorical question at this point, but that's something to keep an eye out, because Chance Warmack, big dude who said all the right things of, I love to hit people, I love to run block. It just didn't work out. He could not adapt to the speed of the game. Will Wilson be able to do that? And obviously, as Tristan says there on IGTV or IG Live, that time will only tell. But that's just something to keep in your mind, that just because he's a big, huge, mauling offensive lineman from the SEC at a power program doesn't mean he's an automatic home run. He's still got a lot of work to do to really round into his full potential. But I listened to Buck Rising 615 sessions this morning that he did after this draft pick with Joe Rexrode. And Buck thought, and I kind of agree with it, that Isaiah Wilson has a higher ceiling with his skill set than maybe even Jack Conklin. I think there's more raw ability there with Wilson than there is at Conklin. Conklin came to the Titans more as a finished product than Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah, and injuries derailed maybe the trajectory of what Jack Conklin really could be. I mean, the best possible scenario for the Titans would have been you draft Taylor Lewan, you draft Jack Conklin, you re-sign them both to long-term contracts, and boom, you have the reincarnation of Michael Ruse and Dave Stewart, right?
Yeah.
But they had to go out and get a new right tackle. So this kind of leads us into our main question to get you guys involved here on A to Z Sports. For everybody just joining us on Twitch or on YouTube or on Instagram Live, we do this every single morning at 8 a.m. We welcome you. This is an exciting time because we're gaining more people to watch this show that we've been doing for several years. But it's time to grade the pick, right? We got to look, substitute teacher right now. We want to put that pencil right behind your ear, walk into the classroom right there on cue. What is your grade for the Titans taking offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson, 29th overall in the first round? A through F. We want you to comment. So comment in the comment section on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Facebook, and Instagram, and we will get to those comments.
All right, Zach, but first tell the great people about Calvin and Subtle and what they're able to do during these tough times with their company.
Yes, well, they take first and foremost, they're precautionary, right? So if they come in and they take a look at your hardwood floors to get replaced, they're going to wear a mask, they're going to wear gloves, and they're going to assess your situation. From that point on, it's really easy. Calvin and Subtle right here in Nashville to replace your hardwood floors. It's very, very simple. They go in, they take an assessment. You can either go into their showroom to look at their samples, or they'll bring those samples to you. They have a wide variety from $30 per square foot to $1.99 per square foot, from cost effective to luxury hardware floors. And the turnaround time, snap your finger. It's that quick. Within 2 weeks, you can get brand new hardwood floors. And if it's a custom job, that may go out to 3 to 4. But it's that simple. All right, guys, calvinandsubtle.com. Visit their website and give them a call because they will take care of you and all of your hardwood flooring needs. 615-448-6414. That's 615-448-6414.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Friday, reacting to the Titans' first-round draft pick, Isaiah Wilson, tackle out of Georgia. Don't forget to subscribe to our A to Z Sports podcast feed. There's also a brand new 615 Sessions podcast out with Joe Rexrode with Buck Rising, reacting live last night to this pick. And if you're a Vol fan, Big Orange Podcast talks about the Vols and their draft this week. So grades. How do you grade Isaiah Wilson, draft pick for the Titans? Rob, B+, F-Word Pod, B-, B-Ret, B, Seth, a B-, and Brad, a B. Titans 8-2 with a B. It seems like B, as I see Constance, Grind, Steph, Kyle, Renaud, Yannick. Is B the 5 of the 1 through 10 rankings? Because it honestly feels like, I mean, Keontae says A. Then I see Donald saying C+. Wilson is a luxury pick, and Tyree with a C+. Outside of that, I'm seeing a lot of B's. Jonathan says C flat. Tress is giving it an 82.5, so he's giving it a B- on that one. So it feels like this is sitting in B country right now. And honestly, I was going to go with a B- because I like the, you know what? I'm going to say C+. I honestly think because of the way the board fell and because of how they could not get out of this pick, which I think the best thing, they could have gotten Isaiah Wilson later on in the 30s. Isaiah Wilson, I looked at Kyle Krabs with the Draft Network. He has Isaiah Wilson as the 16th rated tackle. Now, I don't believe it's that. I don't think that's the consensus on Wilson, but I think that it was a reach. It's at a pick where he's not going to start. I don't think he's going to start until at least 21. So I think this is a C+ draft pick. I don't dislike the player. I like the upside of Wilson. I just think the window that is win now, this is an underwhelming pick when you only have 4 picks in the top 5 rounds and you couldn't get more, and you get a guy who's going to be sitting on the sideline or he's going to be in jumbo packages for the first year. That's what this pick is.
All right. Well, I do think that the people, power to the people, baby, power to the people. They got this correct. It is a B. That is the correct grade because of a couple of things that you missed, Austin. Maybe, I don't know if you overlooked them for your C+ grade, but it's a B. Look, I understand it's not an A because first and foremost, we don't know if he's going to be a starter. It's a first round pick. You probably need a starter in a championship window. Sure. The other thing that kind of pulls it back down to maybe the C grade, right, where you are, is because they openly said they tried to trade the pick, right? That tells me that they didn't want the guy. They kind of forced to have the guy. Now, they like the guy that they got, but they would have rather gotten more picks playing the draft game. So that's where you are. But here's what you didn't take into consideration. This tells me, and Derek, I'll give Derek Dickerson a like right there. He called me out last year. 2 things that pull this thing back up to a B.
Okay.
First of all, the history of Jon Robinson. Look, Kevin Dodd is his blemish, but besides that, pretty damn good. Yeah. And especially last year, drafting a guy maybe in a similar situation, and that's what Derek brings up, Big Jeff Simmons. Look, I was against the pick because of his history. He's proved me wrong over the last 365 days as I've talked to him, gotten to know him. He's a good guy. He learned from his mistake. Also, he healed from his ACL injury. He made a big impact on last year's season when he returned. So that kind of inches it up to a B- for me. Now, to get to my final grade B, as I said, it's all about the crown. It's all about Derrick Henry. That's why it's a B. It could even be a B+. What he does with Derrick Henry, if like this guy's best attribute is taking people's souls, right? That is the guy you want in front of another guy who takes people's souls named Derrick Henry. That is a deadly combination. They have the luxury of running to the left side because you have Roger Saffold and Taylor Lewan. If you can get a luxury running to the right side as well with Isaiah Wilson and Nate Davis,
I get that, and
that's why screw it. I'm changing my grade.
You're gonna go B+.
I'm taking the pencil out, scratching it out. I'm going B+. This is a B+ grade. I've talked myself into it. Students, you are dismissed.
I think Isaiah Wilson's gonna be a good player. I just think for right now, it is a luxury pick. I think Donald nailed it. C+ luxury pick. Are they able? And that's the whole thing with Jadeveon Clowney, is that if the Titans had already signed Jadeveon Clowney in free agency, I think everybody would probably bump up their grade by another half letter, right?
What if that happens next week?
Then maybe I'll reconsider. But right now it hasn't happened yet. And right now you only have a pretty good feeling that Jadeveon Clowney is going to be.
Well, no. The Titans are the leader in the clubhouse.
Right. But the clubhouse has a contract offer that doesn't have any ink on it.
I understand that
things can change.
But you feel good with being the leader.
You feel good. But again, I could feel good about a lot of things. But, I can feel good. I'm not going to be bragging about it or changing my life around it until I have that. I want to make sure I have the confidence that that's in the bag with Clowney before I plan my draft around having Clowney. And so I think C+ for me, he's very raw. Will he translate? I like his mentality. I think he's an absolute fit for what the Titans want to do. And I think it was Seth. Maybe it wasn't. So if I'm shouting out the wrong person, I'm sorry, on Instagram, saying that always draft skilled players in the first round. I disagree with that. And Jon Robinson said this on Monday when he talked to the media on a Zoom, that you don't find big dudes walking around like this in Walmart and Target. You got to go get them in the first round. And that's why, that comment is why I mocked Ross Blacklock out of TCU, the defensive lineman, because D-line is a spot where you have to get somebody who can play now, and you need somebody who can play now. But look, I mean, Isaiah Wilson's 40 pounds more than Blacklock, but he's not going to be playing right now unless he's in a goal line situation where he's like the tackle eligible, or hell, line him up at fullback. You saw him playing Wildcat quarterback in high school. He can move too. So like, I like the idea. I like the potential of this. He has a potential to be a Pro Bowler. The potential. I'm not predicting that, but he has the potential and the skill set to become that. Will he? And how long will it take?
Well, Austin, I'm glad you said that, because after Derrick Henry was drafted, you said the opposite of exactly what you just said. So who knows, right? Maybe your gut feeling is saying Pro Bowler. I hope history doesn't repeat itself and it goes the opposite way. But you talk about skill players versus, and I agree with you, big guys, they go. I mean, that's why all these offensive tackles in the history of the league, they go in the first round because they're bred differently. They're 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", 300-plus pounders. You're not going to find that in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round. You can't find them. You're in the jungle, which we'll talk about Vrabel's little war room a little bit later. But I also think that this should give Titans a little bit of hope and excitement for the rest of the draft. Now, they didn't trade down and get more picks, but I do think it opens the door for them to draft now a lot of wide receivers off the board, but a wide receiver in the later rounds, which they've seen Tajay Sharp kind of was what he should have been, played very well as a fifth-round pick. You can go out and get a backup running back. I hope to God it's A.J. Dillon out of Boston College, so I'll look like a genius. It may be Keyshawn Vaughn. It may be Cam Akers. We don't know. Also, Wisconsin's running back is still available. There's a lot of running backs that are still available. There's only one off the board, and the top two guys that everybody thought would are still there, DeAndre Swift and Dobbins out of Ohio State. So the sexy picks may be coming tonight. Friday night, date night. Get ready.
And I think Jon Robinson's talked about this a couple times, that he likes the depth at corner. And really, he likes the deep depth. I'm talking like Saturday depth at cornerback, because he's shouted out Senior Bowl and Shrine Game. Shrine Game and Senior Bowl is filled with a lot of guys who will go off the round off the board on Saturday, rounds 4 through 7, not necessarily the top 100 type players. So I think they're going to double dip at corner. And we're not going to talk too much about what's going to happen tonight, because frankly, we're going to be live tonight, just like we were last night. So if you're watching us right now, we will be live tonight for the Titans picks on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. So make sure you've got your live notifications on for that coverage tonight. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. There was a good question from George about Dennis Kelly's future. What is this? How does drafting Wilson impact Dennis Kelly's future, who just signed a 3-year, $21 million deal this past March, right? Well, he only counts $3.5 million against the cap this year. Next year, it's $6.5 million. Then you can cut Dennis Kelly for marginal cost. So Dennis Kelly's 3-year contract is actually more like a 2-year contract. So I think my prediction is Dennis Kelly starts every game where he's healthy this year at right tackle. And then I think Isaiah Wilson, you go into next camp, especially with the coronavirus virtual offseason they have right now. Next camp is when it is a battle royale between the Undertaker and a Panda Bear at right tackle, because that's what these guys are. Dennis Kelly, 6'7", Wilson, 6'7". They're going to go at it all camp long for right tackle, and then you might be able to see who wins out that battle there.
And this is untraditional training camp going into this year because of people eating bats, but next year, the following season, they're going to get a lot of work on the defensive line going up against Lewan, Wilson, and Kelly. That's a pretty great, as we saw, tri-stream. That's good. That's good. Yeah. 3 guys, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. A to Z Sports here live on a Friday morning. We have to discuss what was Mike Vrabel's basement last night. So get ready for this. We are going to throw the image up there on our screen. I'm sorry, IG Live, you won't be able to see it with us, but we're going to throw the image up there on our screen.
Well, it's the first picture on our feed. So if you want to pop out, pop back in, do whatever.
True. That's true.
I posted the jungle picture this morning for everybody.
So we're going to investigate what all happened last night in Mike Vrabel's basement. But first, Zach, tell the people about Tucker Agency.
Yes, Tucker Agency is a presenting sponsor here on A to Z Sports, is because Well, they're trying to help you. Look, this is a weird time. As we've talked about coronavirus, we usually do this show right next to each other, right? Live at different locations. Well, we're confined to our own home studio sets. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe you've lost some income. Tucker Agency is an insurance company that can help you save money. On average, their customers save 20%. That 20% could go a long way in the months of April, in the months of May, June, July, August. If this thing continues on, you can readjust your home insurance, your auto insurance, valuables. If you have renter's insurance, they'll restructure it, take care of you, and put a little extra scratch in your pocket. Imagine having $200 extra to put food on your table or to help pay your mortgage or your rent. TuckerTN.com. That's TuckerTN.com. Will Tucker, locally here to Middle Tennessee. He'll help anybody, though. Give him a call and go online at TuckerTN.com.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Friday, about to investigate what all happened in Mike Vrabel's basement last night. There was a superhero, there was a teenager with dyed hair, and there was a potential pooping problem going on in the background of this picture. A to Z Sports. So I will say, Zach, let's go ahead and toss up this image here on our screen so we can fully get a good look of what all went on during this during the live check-in on the broadcast. Look, first of all, Mike Vrabel in this still had either already spit out his dip or still has it and is about to spit out his dip. Then you've got Carter Vrabel, his son, to the right of your screen, wearing Mike Vrabel's old Pro Bowl jersey with a mustache. I think Carter's a senior in high school. He might be graduating. I'm not sure exactly, but he's got a mustache that he's working on that's better than mine during this quarantine time. And he dyed his hair blonde. Then you have a unnamed female sitting on top of a table, crisscross applesauce.
I got the love of the show. It goes to Shane, not Bama Shane, Shane Warp. He gets it. He describes it so eloquently in one sentence. He says, you got Joe Exotic, Papa Smurf, iCarly, and the boot burglar in one room. It's called the Quarantine Palace.
Oh my gosh. Tress says this is a frat house. I saw Pete Blackburn, who is a great follow on Twitter, compare Cliff Kingsbury of what you thought your quarantine was going to look like compared to Mike Vrabel. This is what your quarantine is actually like. Because then you've got Frozone over here, Frozone heavy, just stretching through the spandex. And then what could potentially be a college athlete taking a big old deuce in the background. Now, Mike Vrabel came out and said that
he cleared all this up.
Yes.
So this
but
needs
do you believe him? But do you believe him? Because
I actually do. He had good explanations for all of this, right? So I believe, look, Mike Vrabel, I think he's going to tell the truth because he noticed that the internet got a hold of this. So he was not oblivious to it.
J-Turn says, let's flush this rumor.
Die PP on Instagram says they're gonna call him Frostbite.
I mean, it's so funny. I mean, because we know Mike Vrabel's personality, deep on the inside, Mike Vrabel thinks this is the funniest stuff in the world. But he chewed those guys out like he chewed me out for filming on Field 3 in August. This is just so funny. It's so good. Now, people are saying, why would you put a toilet behind the reflection of window?
All right.
Okay, you got more?
Yeah. Let me explain this. The way Mike Vrabel explained this, because it was asked multiple times on the press conference Zoom about at midnight, 30 minutes after the draft is over. Okay. So Vrabel cleared all this up and he described it. So let's start on the right side of the picture, right? All right. So he's got his son in the Pro Bowl Vrabel jersey. Vrabel said, I haven't seen that jersey since I took it off when I played in the Pro Bowl. I don't know where he found that. And that's Vrabel's son. He's like, I don't know where he found that.
God.
But he somehow found it. Obviously, he's having some quarantine fun with his hair. I don't think that he traditionally It's like one of those things you spray sun in. You remember you go to the beach when you're like
squeeze some lemon juice on there and just sit under a light
when you're 15 and you try to impress chicks. He's gone the extreme. I don't know what he dyed it. So Vrabel there is trying to make the pick, right? He's all the pick is in. He just made the pick. You got Frostbite to his left. And he is impersonating. The kid goes to Father Ryan. Again, he explained this on the Zoom. Kid goes to Father Ryan, and he was dressed up as Mr. Freeze, the guy who everybody tries to race in the Atlanta Braves, organization. Have you seen those? They race the guy.
But the thing is, that might be his intent, but that's Frozone. That's where's my super suit? That's Samuel L. Jackson Frozone right there.
The super suit with the free Titans athletic shorts over it. That Vrabel provided. He's not getting that swag. He doesn't work for the team.
So that is Jackson, who I believe is one of Carter's good friends who goes to school with him, who has been living with the Vrabels for about a year or so.
Yeah, and he has. But
which is great. And I just think, like, God bless Mike Vrabel. He must have the most splitting headache dealing with these hooligans, because we haven't even gotten to Tyler yet.
No, we haven't even gotten to Tyler. But look, then you've got the funniest one. Shane Carly sitting down is great. Vrabel's trying to do work, but this is one thing that Jon Robinson and Vrabel said last night. Like, they enjoyed having their family around. I'm sure to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And so this is how he described his son that everybody thinks is dropping a deuce. He's actually sitting on a bar stool next to Vrabel's wife, and that is a mirrored cabinet that is showing the reflection. You can see his shorts. Now, it looks like he's dropping trowel,
because
it's not.
Because it's perfect pooping posture. I mean, he's got the flat back. He's got elbows on knees, holding the phone. This is we all know what this is.
Yeah, but we've all been sitting on a bar stool in the same position wearing gym shorts.
This is either the shortest bar stool or Tyler Vrabel is just a giant, because bar stools, last I checked, are at least a little bit taller than that, where you can't be sitting in this type of stance on the bar stool.
Look, there's different types of bar stools. Maybe it's one of those, the Japanese one that are very low to the ground and you need lower bar stools.
Now, here's the thing that I think we didn't even realize. There is a NASCAR racing video game, arcade style, behind Carter Vrabel.
That's right. How cool is that?
And there's something else behind. What is the Big Titans thing? What is that? Like, is it?
So he explained that again on the call last night. So that is a whiteboard that he goes through and tests players, their knowledge, draws formations. Big football guy, right? He tests to see who else is a football guy. And so Teresa Walker of the AP actually commented on it and is like, are you going to have that during the draft? And he was like, what, you don't like my whiteboard? And it was just kind of like that. Teresa actually asked the follow-up and says, it looks like you heeded my advice in covering up your whiteboard. So he did. He got a big Tennessee Titans flag to cover up the whiteboard.
So we can always say that Mike Vrabel does, in fact, listen to the media.
Yeah.
We've got that in our back pocket thanks to Teresa, whether it's just Teresa or the rest of the media. But my God, I mean, the hilarious, and then just the spitting out the huge dip, perfect timing on camera. Everything about that was just beautiful television and gave us another 10 minutes of content.
Oh, man. Well, I really enjoyed that conversation. I was looking forward to it when I woke up. I was like, man, we're going to talk about the jungle. The funny thing is it's called the War Room, and this literally looks like it's – But he explained it. He's like, you got a bunch of high school kids, and everybody can understand when you're in high school, you do dumb things like shave your head and dye your head or dress as Frozone just for the hell of it,
Right. And it's absolutely great. And I feel like Tyler Vrabel, who looks like he's taking a poop, but is in fact not, has nothing, because he's a college kid. He wants nothing to do.
He was caught in a bad spot, right?
Yes. He wants nothing to do with his idiot little brother and his idiot high school friends, because that's exactly how Tyler Vrabel feels about the situation, and exactly how I think Mike Vrabel probably feels about it too.
Just because, that's your buddies. Like, it's like you're always constantly doing weird things when you're 16, 17, and 18. That's just how life works. So I thank Mike Vrabel and his entire family for giving us the jungle, aka the war room, during the Titans pick on national television, in which millions of people were watching that.
I think it was my favorite thing of the night, to be honest.
Agree.
The Frozone. Where's my super suit? Okay, A to Z Sports here live on Friday. We are going to be live tonight during the second and the third round of the NFL draft, as the Titans make their second and third round picks. We're going to talk before the Titans go on the clock about what their needs are, where they should go. But we do want to get to this, our best and worst segment of the day, brought to you by the Tucker Agency, tuckertn.com, to save an average of 20% on your personal insurance at tuckertn.com. The best draft pick last night and the worst draft pick last night. That's what we're going to get to next. But first, let me tell you guys about renterswarehouse.com. They're the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. And there are so many ways you can use renterswarehouse.com during these times. Maybe you have decided to move out, you bought a new house, and now you don't know what to do with your current one. You can rent it instead of sell it. If you own Airbnbs, you can, as you typically rely on business travelers and tourists, you can temporarily rent out your Airbnb via renterswarehouse.com. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
A to Z Sports, make sure you check out our podcast feed. We do this every single morning at 8 a.m. Buck Rising also does a live show on social media, prime time at 8. This will have a special NFL draft, prime time tonight. We've got podcasts, so check us out, subscribe, rate, and review. And it's great content. If you're a Titans fan, Vol fan, Preds fan, we got you covered.
All right, so let's start with the best pick. And I think this is kind of hard because I feel like the first 11 picks in the draft, everybody was like, okay, we like who we like, you like who you like. Let's just chill and everybody take who they want, and we'll get through the first 11 picks. So I feel like everybody in the first, definitely in the top 10, and if you include the Jets at 11, everybody got really good value in the first 11 spots. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I have three teams that they should feel so happy this morning. Now, who knows how the hell the rest of the draft is going to go for them. But there are three teams that, however the draft in the first round worked out, they got lucky. They love what they got. They are happy. They weren't in the same situation where tried to trade and fizzled out. They got their guy. There's three teams, and it's very, very simple.
I have three teams as well. I'm curious to see if your three are my three.
I know one of them's not, because I don't think you'll give them the credit that they deserve, and I'll just start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay?
Definitely not on my list.
Yeah, I knew they weren't.
Definitely not on my list.
That's a team that won because they're going for a championship. They've got Gronk. They've got Brady. They got the offensive lineman most realistic for them to get where they picked, because they'd have to give up a ton to travel all the way up the board. This was a great pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who struggled in offensive line. Now, I don't know how much that was Jameis Winston just being a nitwit last year, but this is a great pick.
The player is perfect for the Bucs. Tristan Wirfs right there, right tackle, because they need a right tackle. I mean, that's exactly what the Bucs should have gotten, but did they give up too much to move up one spot?
I don't think they gave up too much because of the situation they're in. Doesn't matter. No, they're not worried about this year's draft.
Yeah,
they're worried about this year's Super Bowl.
And Elizabeth George says that's a little biased, Zach. I agree overall.
Never, ever, Elizabeth.
Zach's never biased.
Never,
what are you
ever.
talking about?
When it comes to them, no. The next team, I think this is kind of a wild card, because they subtly got the guy that they obviously wanted, and they didn't have to do anything for it. They didn't have to jump. They didn't have to trade big-time picks to go up to number 2 or 3. It's the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins have completely retooled their organization. You talk about the 76ers, your 76ers trusting the process and going through and not being good because they know they don't have a quarterback at the time, trading away a bunch of running backs. They got Tua, they got an offensive lineman, and they got a really good corner. Those three picks that they had, that they earned, let's just say, on top of all the things that they did in free agency. I'm not sitting here saying that the Miami Dolphins are the champs of the AFC East because that's been held by the Patriots for God knows how long.
It's up for grabs, though.
But Tom Brady's not here.
Yeah.
So that's why this is perfect for the time. The Miami Dolphins won the first round with all of their picks.
Well, they
got 3 really talented guys at 3 key positions.
Yeah, I think
the 4 positions, Austin, right? They got 3 of them.
Yeah, they do. You're right. And they signed Kyle Van Noy, the other guy, in free agency, and Byron Jones. So look, the Dolphins have had a really impressive offseason. There's no doubt about that. But when I looked at do you have another team or do you want
one more team?
Okay, go for it.
It's CeeDee Lamb to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb should have never been for the Cowboys to be selected.
Right.
But Oakland valued another wide receiver more than him. It drops
speed, shocker, right? The Raiders, even without Al Davis, goes to the fastest guy in the draft.
Exactly. CeeDee Lamb is a steal. It is a steal for where they picked, right? CeeDee Lamb, everybody thought he was going to be the first wide receiver off in a huge wide receiver class in the first round. That, I think, 3 teams, the Dolphins, the Bucks, and the Cowboys.
I think, like I mentioned, the top 11 chalk. I think everybody's very thrilled with what they got there. I think Isaiah Simmons falling to 8 to the Cardinals was nice, but that's kind of as expected. As the Giants, I think, did the smart thing by going tackle first instead of because they got Barkley and Daniel Jones. They need offensive line help. So that made a lot of sense for the Giants to do that to allow Simmons to fall to 8. Then I look at overall value because I agree. On my list of 3 teams, I had CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys at 17. I mean, that's this offense is just that much more dynamic. And Oklahoma guy, I know Dallas is a UT Austin, Texas Longhorns type of market, but there's also a ton of Oklahoma fans in Dallas. So that just adds to the marketing machine that is the Cowboys. The other 2 teams that I thought did a really good job, the 49ers. The 49ers getting Javon Kinlaw, they traded away DeForest Buckner, and the Colts paid DeForest Buckner $21 million a year after trading a first-round pick for him. So we all know that the Niners have all these stud D lineman first-round draft picks on the defensive line. Well, they trade one away, trade and replace. And the value for Javon Kinlaw on that D-line is incredible. And then you get to move back, add another 4th-round pick where they needed to fill some holes. I thought the Niners getting Kinlaw at 14 was great value. And the last pick on my list, I thought the Jags having Lavon Chason fall all the way to 20 was pretty nice. I thought that was a good – when you're talking about value pick, the second best edge rusher falling to 20 is a good value pick. Chason is not perfect. He's far from Chase Young, but the next edge rusher is far from Chason. And him at 20, I think, is a really strong value.
Yeah, well, it tells me that the Jags aren't going for it. And the problem that I have with that is that Doug Marrone is on the hot seat. Like, I'm just going to say this. If Minshew starts and plays all 16 games, Doug Marrone's going to get fired.
Right, but is Doug Marrone drafting the players? Is he the GM? And so
he should have some big time sway.
Right, but that's where I think what you're talking about, Zach, is dangerous. I think when a GM or a head coach is on the hot seat and they use that draft to make sure they don't get themselves fired, sure, it's selfish, but they kind of have to, but it's not the best for the organization. If the GM for the Jags picks Chason, while that might not help Doug Marrone, it helps the Jags for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and they got his name eludes me. The guy from Kentucky last year,
Josh Allen,
who has
good player.
He's a really good player. Now they missed on Dante Fowler Jr. years ago, right? ACL ended up not playing for him. They ended up
trading him though for a pretty decent pick a couple of years ago with the Rams.
But when you have that top high of a pick, you want that guy to be a signature player.
Sure. And he tore his ACL in a non-contact injury in like the first OTA, like rookie minicamp. So that's that is a bad luck fluke injury.
Who's your worst?
My worst, I have 2 options. And I feel like we're going to have a really long conversation with some of you guys about what the Packers did. So I'll save that second. My other worst option is the Raiders at 19 going with Damon Arnett, corner out of Ohio State. when basically every other corner besides the top two guys were on the board. It did not make a lot of sense to me to go Damon Arnett at 19 overall. Look, Fulton's still there. At that point, Gladney, Igbenogany was still there. All these corners were there, and they go with a guy they could have gotten really in the middle of the second round in Damon Arnett. That, I think, worst value of the first round. But the Packers, I think, had the worst decision of the first round.
Yeah, and that's mine. It's singularly. I talked about it last night on Prime Time, and we'll go live again during the second and third round tonight. A live reaction. Those shows are fun, so jump on board. Lewison says, how about the Saints pick at 24? He said that was head-scratching as well.
Cesar Ruiz? Absolutely not. Cesar Ruiz is by far the best interior lineman in this draft, and he's a first-round draft pick. Cesar Ruiz, center from Michigan, good pick for the Saints.
So, but my number one is the Packers.
Yeah.
And it's a slap in the face to Aaron Rodgers, who has given his all to your franchise. And I understand. It's your franchise. It's the people's franchise, actually, because of the Packers. But
true.
Planning for the future is smart. I don't want to discredit that. But the fact that they have not drafted a first-round skilled position since Aaron Rodgers is atrocious. It is I don't know what's going on, if there's headbutting, but we saw what Seattle did, right? Seattle gave Russell Wilson DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf,
second round.
But they singularly he helped them.
With that logic, the Packers can go draft a second round.
DK Metcalf was a first round pick.
No, he was not. He was literally Zach,
they picked him in the second round, but he was a first round guy. He was the best.
But if he was a first round pick, then he would not have been the dead last pick in the second round, Zach. Like that was
a mistake.
I mean,
or it was a mistake by the NFL and the scouts. Like it happens. It happens every year. There are guys that they completely miss on and they doubt, and he ends up proving them wrong.
That's not the right way to compare this situation, because with your logic, the Packers can go find somebody in the second round to help Aaron Rodgers. The real slap in the face goes to what the comment from Captain Kronk on Periscope. Aaron Rodgers has 4 years left on his contract.
Yes, I know, but we don't know, and I have not done the research. I don't want to sit here. I've not done the research of what that contract looks like, the cap space, and the ability to get out of that contract, because he signed it a couple of years ago, right?
It out. Yeah, I'll check out it.
Because that matters. That may be in a strategic move. I know, look, it was out there that they loved Jordan Love. They did. And they went out and got him. They're going to Brett Favre him. That's probably going to be the incumbent. But I think it's sad because you took your ass to the NFC Championship game last year. You had a second round, or you were second in the entire conference. Like, I don't know. That was the worst pick in my. And look, we may be wrong. Jordan Love may be the next Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. But for the timing of it, this is their window. Go out and get you a skilled player, because you hadn't done that.
Yeah, especially because here's the contract situation. So Aaron Rodgers does have 4 years left on his deal. Now, there is a potential out splitting those 4 years. So the next 2 years, 20 and 21, Aaron Rodgers you can't cut him. After that, the dead cap, so the potential out is still pretty expensive with $17 million in dead cap. Yeah. So while
Love will be on a rookie deal, so it won't hit you that
but
hard.
Man, that's $17 million, Zach, is like 4 players.
But that's the transfer. He's not going to be playing. Right, Jordan Love will be playing for a couple of $1 million.
But again,
he's a late round.
I just think if the Packers were going to do this, do it next year's draft. Like they just went. My whole thing last night with Buck.
They liked the guy. They liked.
Yeah, I know, but I like.
If you like the player, he's not going to be around.
They were in the NFC Championship game, and you don't do anything to help your team win now.
I get it. It's like the Chiefs and what they did with Patrick Mahomes. They loved Patrick Mahomes no matter, like that was their guy. And obviously, I don't know what happened between this interview.
Zach, Alex Smith, and Aaron Rodgers.
No, I know,
but that's the thing.
Don't look in the player.
But you have to.
The action. No, look at the action. It is They love this player at quarterback, which is the most important position on the team.
Right. But you have to know that Aaron Rodgers makes that, I think, irrelevant.
I know. Well, I'm saying they better get it right.
They traded up. They traded up.
Well, look, the Packers have had the luxury, like the Colts did, is you went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. The Packers have gone from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. It's that next one. Now, the Colts have gotten a stopgap between Phillip Rivers. They got to find their next guy. Yeah. That's probably going to be next year or so. But it's hard to get 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back-to-back decades.
Yeah, well, it'd be easy with the Hall of Fame on Jordan Love. But I think –
no, I'm saying that Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, I'm saying it's hard to get back-to-back. They've already gotten the back-to-backs.
Sure. And I just think it doesn't make a lot like that. We both agree. I mean, we're arguing, but we both agree that this was the worst pick of last night. Yeah. And here's the thing I know a little bit about is this locker room is not going to like this. Like the Packers locker room is going to be very confused about this decision because they know they're close. They got a new head coach. They took steps forward. They thought there was some repair with Aaron Rodgers, and he was butting heads with McCarthy. McCarthy's out. He lost that one. Rodgers won it. You go to the NFC title game. Now, you do get blown out, but you're like, okay, go get somebody else you can throw to besides Devontae Adams, and you go draft the future behind Aaron Rodgers. It just doesn't – I don't think it's going to sit very well in the locker room unless Jordan Love is like an amazing person. And I don't know anything about Jordan Love.
He is an amazing person. He's smart. He's intelligent. He's got a good head on his shoulders. But I don't think and it's not necessarily that the Packers players are going to hold this against Jordan Love. They might hold this against them. It's about Aaron Rodgers.
No, and it's about the new GM and the new head coach because Ted Thompson's no longer running the show in Green Bay. There's a new general manager after like a decade plus run with Ted Thompson, or maybe 20 years, close to that. And now you've got this new guy, and you're like, man, what the hell? You're just screwing our shot at a Super Bowl run.
Do you think? And I'm going to throw this out there. The NBA, I mean, players demand trades all the time when they don't get what they want. Is this a situation that Aaron Rodgers is so offended that he demands a trade?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That just would be very, very
Aaron Rodgers?
That would be very drastic of a move. I don't think that's going to happen because Aaron Rodgers, and B-Rat says he could do that. Aaron Rodgers likes his teammates. He likes the offense.
Fine, but does he like the general manager, head coach, and ownership? Because those are the guys, those are the puppeteers, as the players say. And look, we've been in this situation, and I've not pulled any punches about it. I understand the business of things, and I think Aaron Rodgers understands the business of things. But look, we worked at a radio station for 3 years. Yeah. The management came to us and said, "We don't believe in you anymore. Your show's canceled." I hate that radio station. They can go screw themselves. Can't stand them. They're dead to me. Why? Because they didn't believe in me, right? Yeah. And their moves, their decisions, their actions show that they don't believe in A to Z sports. Funny thing is, we have more social media followers than they'll ever have, which is hilarious, right? 2 men versus an entire company from the ground up completely screwed that radio station.
Yeah, there's no grudge held whatsoever.
Oh, there absolutely is. Till the day I die, they're dead to me. But I honed that to try to be better. Aaron Rodgers depends on how he takes it, right? Is sometimes that like Tom Brady did the exact same thing in a good way as a late 6th round pick as quarterback. And what did he turn into? The greatest quarterback of all time because he held that grudge. Now, he put it in the right direction. I don't know. I'm curious to see. Aaron Rodgers has held a grudge. Look, I don't know the insides and outs of his family dynamic, but we know the stories that he doesn't talk to his parents or his brothers. So some grudge is being held. He tells me by his actions he's that type of player and that type of person. Look, I've just told you I'm that type of person. I don't care. That's just how I act. You screw me over or you lie to me, you're dead to me. And I'm going to go beat you into the ground the best possible way.
Like Isaiah Wilson.
I'm going to try to take your soul. So I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers actually did this. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the next year, but I think that could be on the table based on some of the things that we know.
Yeah, so the Packers, there's several people have asked who could they have, Lambeau asked who could they have taken. I think there are three guys, and here's the thing. When I saw the Packers trade up, and we're about to be out of our hour on Instagram Live, so all the Instagram Live people hop on over to, you got options, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch after this IG Live ends.
Head on over.
Yeah, go ahead and make your move now to one of the others, because we're not leaving. We're not done. So I think there are three guys the Packers really could have picked, and everybody been like, good pick, makes the right sense. Two of them are wide receivers. There's T. Higgins, Denzel Mims. I think when I saw them trade up from 30 to 26, Brandon Ayuk just came off the board. I thought absolutely this is definitely going to be a wide receiver going to the Packers, because there might be a run on wideouts. But no, they went Jordan Love. And the third guy, it would have been more of a reach. They should not have traded up for this guy if this happened, is Cole Kmet, tight end out of Notre Dame, who's the best tight end in this class. Those three picks, if they would have drafted one of those three guys, we would never have this conversation.
Yeah, and they didn't. So we'll find out what happens to the Packers, especially in rounds 2, 3, 4, and what skill positions they go after, because they need some help, right? Aaron Rodgers needs some help.
They do. And the streak continues. No offensive skill player drafted in the first round since Aaron Rodgers has been drafted in 2005.
All right, Austin, before we move on to our good news, okay, I got to ask you one question about tonight.
Okay.
Do you think that the Titans will stick and pick at, 61 in the second round overall?
61 is correct.
You think they'll stick and pick again, or do you think they'll trade up or trade down?
I think they will make one trade tonight.
Up or down? You got to be specific. It's stick or pick, trading up or trading down for more picks.
It's interesting because they've got late picks in both second and third round. I think they have to trade up. I don't know if they trade up in the second round. I think they definitely trade up, maybe at least in the third, because let's think about what they got to give up. You know, they have 3 7th-round draft picks. I don't think Jon Robinson really wants to use those 7th rounders other than using it for ammo to trade up. I think they move up in the third round and maybe give a 7th or something like that, because it's easier to move up in the third and cost less than it does to move up in the second.
That's fair. I think that they will try, and it's hard to have a 29th overall pick and not have a second rounder because they're so late in the round. I actually think that they stick and pick at 61.
Yeah, I think that's probably likely to happen. That's kind of what I think. I think you stick and pick at 61, and then the third round, you can probably move up depending on who's falling to you. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, hey, let's go to good news.
Yeah, A to Z Sports ain't that good news. What is your good news this week? We like to end our week with good news, but look, our week's not over because we're going to be live tonight for the second and third round of the NFL draft, but we'll do good news with you guys anyway. What is your good news this week? But first, let me tell you about Mandu. Mandu is the pulse of fitness, where one 15-minute workout of full-body electronic muscle stimulation simulates 5+ hours in the weight room. I honestly cannot wait for Mandu to come back. They've been great. I've lost 21 pounds of fat since last summer because of Mandu. Probably gained some of it back because of quarantine life, but I'm ready and itching to get back into the Mandu studio, and they can help you out when they do open back up after all this ends. Mandu.com. Your first workout is free at Mandu.com. They have the science to get you back on track with your fitness. Mandu.com.
All right, guys, it is time for good news. How this works, if you're just joining us on YouTube or Twitch, we do this every single Friday, and we need to end the week on good news. Usually at some point during the week, Austin and I get into an argument, or we throwing shade at somebody on Wednesday afternoons. Coronavirus takes over because everybody's eating bats overseas. Who knows? But this is the time to settle in and show us some good news that have happened to you or something around you, something you've seen on the internet. Give me some good news, Austin.
My good news is that there is some.
You can't just do the draft, though. That's unfair.
I'm not doing the draft. I'm not doing the weather.
Or the weather. The weather outside. Yeah, you can't.
I'm not doing my allergies, because good news is I really haven't had a problem this entire week when it comes to the allergies. But my good news is there's a beam of light breaking through the end of the tunnel. You know, we've got a plan. Mayor John Cooper in Nashville yet a couple days ago released the plan. Now, the plan is not like ready to let's ride, we're all back to normal, but we've got a plan. We've got steps, we've got phases on how we as a society are going to get back to normal. We know that I'm probably going to get a haircut in June. It's probably not going to be May, but it might be June. But we know that we've got something to look forward to, and we've got goals to accomplish. And I think whenever you give people goals on if you do this, now you can do this. And then if you do that, you get even more. I think now we have a plan to open this up slowly and make sure we do it the right way. So my good news is the plan is in place.
I think that is good news, and I agree and endorse everything that you just said. I do think that there's a beam of hope. It's just when we get back, how is it going to swerve? Is it going to continue to go down, or is it going to peak up a little bit, or is it going to skyrocket back up? And that's something that we don't know. Only the virus knows, right?
Now,
and I hate that.
Yeah, Sterling asking a question. How old is Isaiah Thomas? Isaiah Thomas is probably like 60-something, but Isaiah Wilson is probably a lot younger than that. Now, Isaiah Thomas is a funnier gaff.
Two Isaiah Thomas.
No, right. Well, that's true. But the other Isaiah Thomas, NBA players are always like 4 years younger than you think they are. But the NBA Isaiah Thomas is probably around like 28, 29, maybe 27. But Isaiah Wilson's very young. Isaiah Wilson is younger than Isaiah Simmons, though. I do know that.
All right, so we've got this. Isaiah Thomas, born 1961. So
he is 59 years old.
58 officially, about to turn 59. I'll give you that credit.
Yeah, that's good math.
The other basketball player was born in 1989. He is 31 years old.
31. Wow. A young Isaiah Thomas, older than I thought. And then Isaiah Wilson, I believe, is 20. He was a 3-year player. He was a redshirt sophomore at Georgia.
And
Isaiah Wilson.
Elizabeth George gets a like because she brings up Phil, Tiger, Tom, Peyton. I mean, that whole thing coming together this week.
The P's versus the T's
is great news. So it's Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson versus Tiger and Peyton.
Well, they just confused. They could have done that so much easier and just gone Phil Peyton, Tiger Tom to Tiger. You know, they could have done that so much better.
And so I do think that things are trending back. So I have 2 bits of good news.
All right. I like that.
Both pan personals. I'll start with the one that will probably make you roll your eyes, and that is fire them cannons, Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement. And I mean, the team I follow and have for the last 17 years plus is going for a Super Bowl, changing their uniforms, getting back to the Super Bowl era. That's a pan personal. But the other one has to do with business. And I believe, and I hope we don't have any problems in the future. We started this week, Austin, on Monday working a 12-hour day. I don't know if you remember that. But
it was a long time ago.
About 6:30 a.m. to about 6:30 p.m., Austin and I were grinding it out, trying to figure out the best streaming service because our old streaming service kept messing up, freezing up, wasn't reliable to you guys. We found a new service, and now we're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, maybe on LinkedIn next week.
Coming soon, LinkedIn for all your businesses.
And on top of that, we started the IG Live on our Instagram. This is more power to the people. We love what we do, but the reason why we love what we do is honestly because of the viewers, is because of the followers, it's because of the insights. It's like Derek holding me responsible earlier in the show because I trashed the Jeffrey Simmons. So he remembers that. Me holding Austin responsible for saying Derrick Henry will never be a Pro Bowler. Held him. This is why we do what we do. And now that we got a better streaming service, it opens up avenues so we can go and take a deep look into the jungle, right? This is the greatest part.
It's so amazing. I laugh every time. I feel like I also find something new every time I look at that picture. As Dr. Landon comments on Twitch, A to Z is everywhere. You cannot ask Taylor Lewan. You can't avoid us.
Everybody says that. Why? Because we're creating an army to take over the sports media world in this country. It's
Ethan Ramsey has some great news. He says, my wife and I have kept our baby alive for a month. There you go. You're 1 month in. I don't know if it gets harder or easier. I'm sure it gets a lot harder from there.
Oh, and side good news, and before I get out of here, I know the guy who is watching right now beat some ass in spades. I'm back on top of the world, baby.
Oh, so you're peeking on one of your buddies who's watching right now. Did you win some money this time?
Oh yeah, well yeah, pride and money, right? This is big time. Spades. Now we lost the first game, then the next 2 games came back, dominated, put that crown on.
Are you talking in like group speak for yourself?
Well, yes. Well, do you know how to play spades?
I don't play spades.
So you have to have 4 people. So there's 2 teams. So that's
okay. There you go. There you go. Well, that just shows my ignorance. All right. So then Louis asked, what time tonight, guys? That's a moving target. So tonight, Grant talks across the table. You're a cheater. Zach cheating? No, right? Zach trying to weasel his way into being super competitive. I see that.
I'm a winner. I'm a winner.
Winner at all costs.
Winner, right? Winner, chicken dinner.
All right. So Louis asked, what time tonight? So the draft starts tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time. We will probably be live around 8 o'clock, depending on how the draft goes. It's a moving target. Again, we don't know exactly how this is going to go, but make sure you have your notifications on Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Get it set today so you don't miss any of it, because we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
All right, guys, great show. We'll see you tonight. Make sure you follow us on social media and look forward to rounds 2 and round 3.
Brad says, grape him, Zach. That is he graped his face.
That's a grape right there.
Man,
that's what we call in the biz a old-fashioned grape job.
All right, see you guys later.